Imagine two identical twins, Mark and Dave, same genetics, same upbringing, same education. They're both 30 years old, earn the same $75,000 salary, live in identical houses on the same street, and even drive the same gray sedan. On paper, their financial lives are identical. But over the next 30 years, Mark will pay over $250,000 more than Dave for the exact same life. Why? It's not because Mark is reckless or makes bad decisions. He will hand over $250,000 to banks, insurers, and lenders for one reason only. A three-digit number next to his name is 640 instead of 760. This is the invisible tax nobody talks about. We argue endlessly about income tax and inflation, but we ignore the most aggressive wealth destroyer in modern finance, the credit tax. And unlike income tax, this one isn't based on what you earn. It's based on how profitable you are to lenders. We're told a credit score measures responsibility, discipline, trustworthiness. That's a lie. A credit score does not measure your wealth, your financial stability, your intelligence, or your character. It measures one thing: how efficiently you generate interest for banks. That's it. The modern credit score, the FICO score, was introduced in 1989. It's younger than most of the people watching this video. Before that, lending was manual, biased, and deeply flawed. But the new system didn't remove the bias, it just replaced it with algorithmic extraction. The goal was never fairness. The goal was to standardize risk so that debt could be packaged, sold, and monetized at a massive scale. And in the process, it created a quiet caste system. Prime borrowers get cheap money. Everyone else pays a lifetime surcharge. Let's break down the math. Say you want to buy a $400,000 home. If your credit score is 760 or higher, you might qualify for a mortgage at 6%. But if your score is 620, which is still considered fair, the bank doesn't reject you. They do something far worse. They approve you, but they raise the rate. Maybe to 7.5%. That 1.5% difference feels small, doesn't it? It isn't. Over a 30-year mortgage, that tiny gap will cost you over $120,000 in extra interest. Same house, same neighborhood, same roof over your head, but you pay 6 figures more, and that's just the visible cost. If that extra $120,000 had been invested instead, it would have compounded into hundreds of thousands more over time. A bad credit score doesn't just charge you interest, it destroys your future net worth. But here's where this gets truly disturbing. Your credit score no longer just controls your loans. It controls your life. Auto insurance companies use it to price your premiums, even if you have a perfect driving record. In many cases, a safe driver with bad credit pays more than a reckless driver with good credit. Landlords use it to approve or deny your rental application. Utility companies use it to decide whether to demand a security deposit. Some employers even check your credit during the hiring process. Think about it. One medical emergency, one missed payment, one bad year, and suddenly you're flagged as high risk across every system. Not because you're a dangerous person, but because you've become expensive to insure and lend to. This is the poverty premium in action. It's a cycle where being financially vulnerable costs you more, which makes it even harder to escape. And here rests the most twisted part of the entire system. A credit score does not reward wealth, it rewards participation in debt. You could have $1 million in cash, own everything outright, and have no loans and be completely unscorable. To the system, you might as well not exist. But you can be broke, juggling balances between credit cards, only paying the minimums, and have an excellent credit score. Why? Because you're actively generating interest. You're a profitable customer. Have you ever paid off a loan and watched your credit score drop? That's the system saying the quiet part out loud. We liked you better when you owed us money. It's a game designed to keep you in a profitable cycle of borrowing. So how is this game actually played? Let's look at what really matters for your score. 35% is based on your payment history. Miss a single payment and you're punished for years. 30% is your credit utilization. This isn't about how much you owe. It's about how much of your available credit you're using. For example, if you spend $500 on a credit card with a $1,000 limit, your utilization is 50%. That looks bad to the algorithm. But if you spend that same $500 on a card with a $10,000 limit, your utilization is only 5%. That looks excellent. Same behavior, same amount spent, but completely different optics. This isn't about financial morality, it's about optics management. And this system creates what you could call an invisible inheritance. Wealthy families can pass down good credit like it's DNA. A parent adds their child as an authorized user on a credit card they've had for 20 years. The child never has to spend a single dollar on that card. But they instantly inherit 2 decades of perfect payment history. By the time they turn 19, they have elite credit, giving them access to cheap loans, low insurance rates, and easy approvals for apartments. Meanwhile, someone else with the same intelligence and work ethic starts from absolute zero or even worse, from a negative position. They face a huge uphill battle, not because of anything they did wrong, but because the starting lines were set in completely different places.
Now you might be thinking, why not just use cash for everything and avoid the system altogether?
In theory, that sounds noble. But in reality, opting out of the credit system means you'll face higher deposits for utilities. And rentals. You'll be offered worse rates if you ever do need a loan, and you'll encounter more friction in nearly every aspect of your financial life. Unless you're wealthy enough to buy everything outright, you're essentially choosing to play life on hard mode. The solution isn't to reject the system. You can't win a game by refusing to play. The solution is to understand it, control it, and play it better than the house. Treat your credit score like what it is: a rigged game where you need to know the rules to win. So how do you stop paying that 2-100- and $50,000 tax? First, automate everything. Set up automatic payments for all your bills. Never ever miss a payment. This takes care of that crucial 35% of your score. Second, expand your limits. Every 6 months, ask your credit card companies for a credit limit increase. This lowers your credit utilization ratio without you having to change your spending habits. Third, protect your old accounts. The age of your credit history matters, so don't close your oldest credit cards even if you don't use them much. They act as an anchor for your credit history. Fourth, dispute every single error. Studies show that 1 in 5 credit reports contains mistakes. Check your reports regularly and challenge any inaccuracies. Those errors could be costing you thousands. And finally, and most importantly, detach your identity from the score. It's not a measure of your worth as a person. It's not you. It's a token in a financial game. The credit score isn't about responsibility. It's about profitability. The system isn't broken, it's working exactly as it was designed to. But once you understand the rules, you can stop overpaying for your own life. That extra $250,000 doesn't belong to the banks. It belongs to your future. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe for more insights into the hidden math behind your money.